Welcome to Skinner and Chalmers Weekly Roast. Today, 290, 3 years without a cake.
Good evening, Memfield. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Weekly Roast. I am Seymour Skinner, and I am recording tonight from a living room that still has bunting up because we had a party last weekend and I have decided the bunting stays until further notice.
The bunting is a topic I have feelings about.
All in good time, Gary, all in good time.
I'm Gary Chalmers, superintendent, geologist, meteorologist, and a man who has been gently negotiating the removal of crepe paper streamers from the kitchen doorframe for 5 days. Welcome.
The streamers are structural at this point. They've bonded with the paint.
They haven't bonded with the paint, Seymour.
I think they have. I think removing them would be a renovation project now. It's better to leave them.
He's been saying this since Tuesday.
And I'll keep saying it because the party deserves to linger. The party deserves to still be in the room. Because what happened last Saturday?
What happened last Saturday was quite something.
It really was.
We have guests tonight who were there, which is fitting.
We have 3 guests. Our first is someone who has been gradually, carefully, beautifully finding his way back to us, and who showed up last Saturday with a gift so thoughtful that I'm still thinking about it. Skinner, welcome.
Thank you. I wasn't sure I'd make it onto the podcast. You said, if you're comfortable, and I thought about it and I decided, yes, I'll be comfortable.
You're always welcome here. You know that?
I'm learning that. Yes.
It's good to have you, Skinner. It genuinely is.
Thank you, Gary.
Our second guest tonight joined us last Saturday via a very long train journey and approximately 4 text messages that escalated in excitement from, I'm on the train, to, I'm at the station, to the final one, which was just 17 exclamation marks.
I was excited. It was a significant event. The exclamation marks were proportionate.
They were not proportionate, Alexander.
They were expressive. There's a difference.
He's exactly like me, Gary. You see it, right?
I see it very clearly. Alexander, welcome.
Thanks, Dad. Both dads. Hi.
And our third guest tonight, in a sense, is here via the pool speaker, as he has been before, because he is exactly where he ought to be at this time of evening, in the garden, which is his kingdom.
And he was very gracious about joining us, which he typically is.
Good evening. I want to say, at the outset, that I was not expecting any of this, and that I found it very moving. Seymour, this was your doing.
Guilty.
I suspected as much. You have a particular expression when you are pleased with yourself. It has become familiar.
He knows my expression.
He's been living with us for nearly 30 years, Seymour. He knows all your expressions.
There is the one where the cooking has gone unexpectedly well. There is the one where the cooking has gone unexpectedly wrong, but Seymour has decided to present it as a regional dialect. There is the one where Seymour is about to make Gary's day better without telling him why. Last Saturday was the third expression, very large, for most of the afternoon.
And I noticed none of this.
To be fair to you, Gary, you were occupied with the barometric data, and Seymour had enlisted Cogsworth's assistance for the logistics, which kept things plausibly explained.
Cogsworth is an excellent co-conspirator.
Cogsworth filed 3 separate planning documents for what was apparently a surprise birthday party.
The Golem Union has protocols, Gary. You can't circumvent the protocols. All right, let me explain, for the listeners, what exactly happened, because the setup is important.
It is.
Bartholomew Wilhelm Gerber was born on the 14th of May, 1731, in the Duchy W. Württemberg. He passed away on the 3rd of August, 1792, after falling from a ladder at the age of 61. He then had a very complicated several decades involving grave robbing, a barrel, Egypt, and Gary's geological storage shed. He gained consciousness on the 14th of May, 1997, which was his birthday, his 266th birthday as it turned out.
It was a Thursday.
It was a Thursday, at approximately 7:30 in the evening, and his first words were,
Excuse me, could someone let me out of this box?
And then I screamed.
And then Gary screamed, yes.
I had never in my career as a geologist had an excavated skeleton request assistance with its own egress.
It was an unusual beginning.
And since then, since 1997, Bartholomew has been part of our household. He has tended our garden. He has had philosophy sessions with a conscious inflatable swan. He has managed 14 house golems and navigated their union disputes with diplomatic grace. He has learned what snatched means. He has posted on gardening forums. He has met an ancient elven archmage who approved of his dahlias.
It has been an eventful existence since the box.
28 years of consciousness. And in all of that time, in 293 years of being alive and then being something else alive, not one birthday party.
I didn't think. One doesn't think of such things. A skeleton doesn't have the same expectations.
Everyone should have a birthday party, Bartholomew. That is my foundational belief, and I stand by it. So I planned one.
Without telling me.
I told you 2 days before, as a courtesy.
You told me. We're having people over Saturday, and I said, for what purpose? And you said, the best purpose. And that was all the information I received until Friday evening.
He texted me 6 weeks in advance, by the way.
6 weeks.
I needed Alexander there. Alexander is family. You can't throw a birthday party for Bartholomew without Alexander.
I want to say, for the record, that the fact that Alexander came from that distance for this.
Bartholomew, I was always coming. I would have come from further.
Thank you. That.
You don't have to say anything.
I wasn't going to say anything. I was simply going to be quiet for a moment. I do that. I am a skeleton, and I have been doing this for 28 years, and I still do not always have the words immediately.
Take your time. Always take your time.
It was the right kind of surprise. There are surprises that disturb and surprises that feel like they were waiting to happen. This was the second kind.
Walk me through the evening, from your perspective.
Yes, from the beginning. Bartholomew, tell them what happened from your side.
I was in the garden. This is where I usually am at that hour. The light in late afternoon has a quality I find very. He searches for the word conducive to thinking. I had been tending the late dahlias. They are past their best this season, but the dried heads still have a structural dignity I appreciate.
A structural dignity. Gary, write that down.
I'm not writing it down.
I'm writing it down.
I heard movement in the house. More than usual. There are normally 17 rubas of varying diligence, 2 geckos who do as they please, and the golems conducting their various scheduled activities. But this was different movement, more purposeful, more coordinated. I noted it.
He noted it.
I have been alive, in the various senses of that word, for nearly 3 centuries. I noticed things. I chose not to investigate because I have learned that Seymour's surprises are generally best approached without anticipation.
That is possibly the most diplomatic thing anyone has ever said about my surprises.
There was one occasion where you replaced the garden gnomes with the rubas in a seasonal arrangement while I was watching the evening sky. I was disturbed. This was different.
The seasonal Roomba arrangement was not your best work, Seymour.
I maintain the aesthetic vision was strong, but the execution needed refinement.
At approximately 6:30, Seymour came to the garden and said, Bartholomew, we'd like you to come inside, in the tone that contains more information than the words.
I had the third expression, apparently.
Very large. And then I came inside and the living room had bunting and candles. Not many, just enough. And there were people.
I was by the window.
Robot Skinner was by the window, which I registered with some. It took a moment.
I know, I could see you process it.
We have not been in many rooms together before last Saturday.
No, we haven't.
But you were there, at a party for me, and you had.
I brought a gift, which I'll talk about in a moment. But yes, I was there.
It was the right choice, Robot Skinner, to come.
I thought so too. Eventually.
Can I describe the cake? Someone has to describe the cake.
Please describe the cake.
Someone should describe the cake on record, yes.
Right. So, I was in on the cake plan because Dad, Seymour, had this idea and he needed someone to run logistics from outside Memfield because Gary couldn't know.
I knew about the cake on Friday, for the record.
Gary found out about the cake on Friday when he opened the wrong cupboard.
I found out about the cake, a remarkable quantity of candles, and what appeared to be a hand-painted banner reading 293 and still standing.
Cogsworth made the banner. It was very well done.
It was immaculately done. The calligraphy was genuinely excellent.
They have a banner committee. It's in the union charter.
The banner committee has been operational since 2019. They petitioned for inclusion in the second collective bargaining agreement.
I signed off on it.
The point about the cake. So, Bartholomew is originally from the Duchy of Württemberg, in what is now southwestern Germany, 18th century, and Seymour, who had apparently been researching this for months,
8 weeks specifically.
8 weeks, found a recipe from the region from roughly that period, a yeasted honey cake, very specific to that area and that era, heavy with spices, soaked with a little warmed mead. It would have been the kind of thing you'd eat at a celebration in that time and place.
Say more.
I wanted it to mean something. I wanted there to be something on the table that recognized who he is. Not just who he is now, not the 21st century Bartholomew who uses a smartphone and says snatched, but the whole of him. The man from 1731 who grew up eating certain foods at certain celebrations and who has been carrying that history ever since.
When I saw the cake, before I even tasted it, I knew what it was. From the color of it, the smell. There is a smell to that kind of cake. The honey and the particular spices. That is, it goes somewhere in you that most things don't reach anymore.
Did it taste right?
It tasted like something I had forgotten I remembered, which is the best thing a taste can do.
Good. That's good.
I cried a little at this point.
I did not cry.
Dad carried decimately.
My eyes were watering because Alexander had opened a window and the evening air was...
Dad.
There was something in the spices that was...
Dad.
I was moved. Fine, yes.
Can I talk about my gift now? Because I've been thinking about how to say this properly, and I'd like to say it properly.
Please, yes.
So, I've been doing the pottery, which most people here know about. It started as something to do with my hands. Something to make that couldn't hurt anything. I don't know if that sounds as strange to other people as it does in my head when I say it, but that was where I started making bowls, small things, useful things.
It doesn't sound strange.
And then I started thinking about what to bring to the party. Because I knew Seymour was planning it. He told me early, much earlier than he told Gary.
6 weeks. He told you 6 weeks early.
6 weeks. And I thought about it for a while. What do you give someone who's been alive for nearly 3 centuries, and doesn't really own very much by choice? What do you give a skeleton who tends a garden and reads philosophy with a swimming pool ornament and posts on the internet about dahlias?
When you say it like that,
it sounds stranger than it is. Anyway, I decided to make something. I made a pot. Specifically, I researched what kind of pots people would have used in the Duchy of Württemberg in the early 18th century, for keeping things, seeds, dried herbs, the kind of pot that would have sat on a shelf in a farmhouse kitchen or a garden shed, utilitarian, simple, a particular size and shape.
The shape was correct, exactly correct.
I glazed it in colors that were common to that era and region, earth tones, a dark green that I had to mix a few times to get right. And on the base, on the bottom where you wouldn't see it unless you turned it over, I painted a date, the 14th of May, 17...
His birthday. The date of my birthday.
Your birthday, yes.
He researched the date.
I know. I know, Seymour.
When I turned the pot over and saw the date, there are very few things that have reached the part of me that exists beneath everything else I am. The part that was Bartholomew Wilhelm Gerber, farmer, born in 1731, before all the rest of it. Mary reaches it sometimes in the evenings. The cake reached it. This reached it.
I wasn't sure you'd. I thought maybe it would be strange, coming from me, given everything.
It was not strange. It was the opposite of strange. It was precisely right. You chose to know me. That matters more than where the choice came from.
Thank you. Thank.
I'm fine. I'm completely...
You're not fine.
I'm slightly not fine. It was just a very beautiful moment, and I'm reliving it.
You planned all of this, Seymour. You're allowed to be moved by it.
I am simply a man who believes very strongly in the power of a birthday party, and I rest my case.
Can we talk about what happened with the candles? because I feel like it should be on record.
Yes, the candles.
The candles were a creative challenge.
The candles were a logistical catastrophe that Seymour has reframed as a creative challenge.
So obviously you can't put 293 candles on one cake. It's just not feasible, even with a very large cake.
I priced it out. The fire risk would have been significant.
The fire risk was the primary concern, yes, not the aesthetic.
Both were concerns, so we had a discussion.
So we had this discussion by text at 11 o'clock at night 2 weeks before the party. I was in bed. Dad texted me, candle strategy needed, and I knew I wasn't sleeping for a while.
We considered representative candles, 1 candle per decade.
Which would have been 29 candles and a partial candle.
You cannot have a partial candle.
I priced the partial candle. It was a 3/10 candle. We could have done it.
Where does one acquire a 3/10 candle?
You cut it. You cut the candle at 30% of its height and...
That is not a candle. That is a candle remnant.
In the end we went with 5 candles. 1 per significant era of Bartholomew's life. His human years, his underground years, the shed years, the years since consciousness, and 1 for what comes next.
The 5th candle. I like the 5th candle.
What comes next? That one felt right to me.
It felt right to me also. You think that way, Alexander. You see the open end of things. That is a good quality.
Thank you, Bartholomew.
And then we lit them and we sang.
We sang.
Dad, Gary sang.
I participated in the singing. That's all I'll confirm.
Gary sang Happy Birthday in a full, committed voice, and I have never been more proud of him in my life.
I was moved. You can't stand there with 5 candles on an 18th century honey cake for a man who hasn't had a birthday in nearly 3 centuries and not sing with full commitment. It would be disrespectful.
You sang very well, actually.
Thank you, Robot Skinner.
I mean it, you have a decent voice.
I sang in a choir at university briefly.
Garwai,
It was 1 semester. Don't make it.
you were in a choir.
It's in my past. I have a past.
Can we get you back in a choir, Dad?
Absolutely not.
I'm going to look into this.
You are not.
I want to say that the singing was wonderful. Whatever its origin, it was wonderful, and I did not know how to respond to it in the moment. So I was simply very still and listened and tried to keep hold of it while it was happening.
Did you manage to?
I did, yes, all 5 verses. The exact quality of the light, the smell of the honey cake and the candles. The way Robot Skinner stood very straight, which I think was because he was trying not to feel too much at once. Alexander's voice, which has a warmth to it, and Gary's voice, which was fuller than I expected.
I'm glad you held on to it.
I hold on to things more carefully now than I used to. 28 years of consciousness has taught me that the moments one might dismiss as ordinary are often the ones worth keeping most.
That's very true.
Mary, we didn't forget you. You were there in spirit.
I was there in pool, which is adjacent to spirit. I could hear the singing from the water. It carried very nicely on the evening air.
We left the back door open so Mary could hear.
And I floated and listened and thought this is what 5 candles sounds like when they really mean something. Not 30, not 300. 5. 1 for each piece of a life. That is a better kind of counting.
See, Tice is why the party had to happen. This is Memfield at its best.
It is yes.
Robot Skinner, I want to ask you something, if you're comfortable.
Go on.
What was it like, being there? Coming back to this house, after everything, for something like this?
It took a moment to get through the door. Not because of anything specific, just, I stood outside for probably 2 minutes. Which Cogsworth noticed and didn't mention, which was the right call on his part.
He's very good at reading rooms, and presumably porches.
And then I thought this house had the bunting up already. It looked like a place where something good was happening. And I thought, if I don't go in, I'm choosing not to let something good happen to me. And I've made that choice too many times before.
So you went in.
I went in. And it's not like it was before. I know that. I don't think it should be like it was before. But it was good. It was the right kind of room to be in, and I hadn't felt that in a long time.
Can I say something about the pottery? About what it means that you made something for someone else?
You can.
When I first heard you were doing pottery, I thought that's good. That's good for his hands and his focus. And then when I saw what you'd made for Bartholomew, the research, the shape, the date on the base, I thought, he's not just making things for himself anymore. He's making things for other people. He's thinking about what would be right for someone else and then making it. That's not a small thing.
No, I know it's not.
That's who you're becoming. And I want you to know that I see it. We all see it.
I've been thinking about Chalmers lately. About what it cost him, being in that dimension. About what it must have felt like when he got out. And I keep thinking, if someone had done for him, in those years, what Bartholomew's life has done for this house. Just been quietly present, just tended things. Maybe some of what happened wouldn't have happened. I can't go back, but I can tend things. Going forward.
That's a good way to put it.
I borrowed it from Bartholomew, actually. He said something like it to me in the garden before the party, while Seymour was distressing himself over the partial candle.
I said, to tend something is to choose it. Every day again.
Every day again, yes.
I'm recording a podcast. I'm a professional podcaster. I have a microphone. I am in control of my...
Say more.
I'm fine, Gary.
You're not fine, and that's all right.
The partial candle was a very stressful decision, and the emotional weight of the evening has compounded.
Stat, it's okay.
Right. Yes. Thank you. Right?
Alexander, tell us about your evening. What was it like coming back to Memafield?
Always good. Honestly, always good. It hits differently after you've been away. You come back and Gizmo is probably trying to escape from something, and Van Gogh had almost certainly done something unexplainable with a tape measure, and Bartholomew's dahlias are beautiful. Actually, even at the end of season, there's something about this garden.
Thank you.
And the house smells like whatever Dad's been attempting to cook, which is a smell I find, don't tell him, genuinely comforting, because it means home.
You find my cooking smell comforting.
The smell of attempted cooking. There's a difference. But yes, it's home.
Well,
And Bartholomew's. I've grown up around him. He was already here when I was little. He's the most patient person I know. He never makes you feel like you're too young or too noisy or too much. He just listens, and then says something that takes you 3 days to fully understand. That's his whole thing.
I appreciate the description, though nosy was accurate for some of those years.
I had a band, Bartholomew.
The early rehearsals were atmospheric.
that's a generous word.
Alexander found his voice. The early rehearsals were the process of that finding. There is noise in any discovery.
Thanks for putting up with it.
I didn't put up with it. I listened. There's a difference.
He just said. Gary, he said. I listened, there's a difference. That's the same distinction Alexander made earlier between put up with and comforting. They do the same thing. They have the same habit of finding the precise word that turns a mundane observation into something that hits you in the chest.
I know, I live with one of them.
You live with Bartholomew too. Gary!
I meant you, Seymour.
Hey.
You do that as well. You say things that hit people. You just wrap them in cooking disasters and Ruba stories so they don't see it coming.
I do that on purpose, actually.
I know. I've known for years.
You're the only one who's noticed.
I pay attention.
This is why I live here.
Me too.
Right. Before we wrap up, we have to talk about the thing that happened after the cake, because I promised Dezenzo a highlight, and this is the highlight.
The dancing.
The dancing, guys.
Oh no.
I was not expecting the dancing.
There was dancing. After the cake, I put on music. I had a playlist. I'd prepared a playlist. And I said, shall we? And Bartholomew said,
I said, I am not certain my joints permit the activity you are suggesting.
and then he danced for 45 minutes.
I did not know that I remembered how. But apparently muscle memory is stored somewhere more persistent than the muscles themselves.
He danced extremely correctly. It was an 18th century style, which I could tell because the posture was impeccable and the footwork was very specific, and it had an energy that I found impressive is not quite the right word.
It was cool, Dad. Bartholomew dancing was legitimately cool.
I had good teachers.
And then Roboskinner?
I'm not discussing this.
Roboskinner danced with Bartholomew. A full, proper, turn-taking.
I followed his lead because I had no idea what I was doing. and he was the only person in the room who knew the steps.
You were a good student, a quick learner.
But I had a reasonable time.
He had a wonderful time.
A reasonable time, that's my final answer.
And I recorded it briefly on my phone as a geological survey document.
Dad, that's not what a geological survey document is.
It's an archival record of significant events, which is not unlike a geological survey.
Gary recorded the dancing because he didn't want to forget it.
I didn't want to forget it, no.
Gary, I want to say, this is something I have been thinking about how to say since Saturday. You found me in 1989 in an excavation I now understand was part of a research project that was very important to you. And you didn't know what to do with a skeleton in a barrel. And you kept me. In the shed, yes, but you kept me. And then in 1997, I became this. And you didn't run, you screamed, but you didn't run.
No.
You have always been, from the very first evening, a person who stayed when it would have been easier to go. I find that very difficult to express adequately in this century or the last. But I want you to know that I am aware of it, and that it is among the most important things anyone has done for me in 293 years.
Bartholomew.
Yes,
The shed had good mineral character, as you once said.
it did. Yes, very satisfying stratification.
Good.
I love my family.
So do I.
So do I.
Me too. I think
That's more than enough, Roboskinner. That's exactly enough.
Right, before we close. Is there anything Bartholomew would like to say to the listeners? Because I imagine this is a fairly unusual position for a 19th century farmer from Buyu-Rutemberg.
I would like to say to whoever is listening that 293 years is a very long time. I have been things that most people are not dead, relocated, stored unconscious, and then conscious again in a world nothing like the one I left. I do not recommend most of the intermediate steps. However, I am in a garden, which I tend, with some skill, I believe.
Considerable skill.
Considerable skill. There are creatures in my care and conversations in my evenings and people who, as Alexander said, chose to come from some distance to celebrate that I was born in 1731. I did not know what to do with that when it happened, but I have been sitting with it since Saturday, and I think I am beginning to understand what it feels like to be properly at home somewhere, not merely residing. Home.
Bartholomew.
I know, Seymour. I know.
It's the third expression, Seymour. Very large.
She's watching from the pool.
I can see the back door from here. I always can.
Of course you can. Where else would you be watching from?
Everywhere the water goes, I go. And the water goes to the people worth watching.
That is very well put, Mary.
Thank you, Bartholomew. Happy birthday late and properly. Happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday to me.
All right, that's the episode. That's our episode, everyone. I'm Seymour Skinner.
I'm Gary Chalmers.
I'm Alexander.
I'm Roboskinner. This was a good evening, both Saturday and this.
I am Bartholomew Wilhelm Gerber, farmer formerly, gardener currently, member of this household by every meaningful measure. I have been alive in total for 293 years, and this was the first birthday party. And it was a pause that holds all 3 centuries in it, worth the wait.
Good night, Memfield. Good night, everyone. The bunting is staying up indefinitely.
The bunting stays.